Colonizing Mars will be one of the most difficult tasks that we will ever be faced with. Although there are many problems, we will have many solutions. Mars's problem of toxic soil and thin atmosphere can be solved by staying inside the houses covered in aluminum, frozen CO2, and Mars clay. The low gravity problem can be solved by working out to keep your muscles and bones in shape, or artificial gravity. Artificial gravity can be simulated by rotating housing. Although this does cost a lot of energy, the benefits are worth it. Most colonies will be located at the poles. The poles have ice caps in which we can tap into for water. The terrain is very sandy, and its dust is so fine that it can fit in almost anywhere. A solution to this will be, instead of having airlocks, is to have spacesuits that can be connected on the outside of houses, and you can just slip in out the headspace in the back. So something like this. The backs and the head are connected to the structure, so you'll just be able to enter through there, and the spacesuits will never actually go inside. Now, the surface of Mars is very red and brown and orange, and it's covered in rocks, canyons, volcanoes, dry lake beds, and craters. Residents of Mars will live their life mostly inside. Their daily life will consist of working out and tending to their hydro farm. So, their hydro farm will look something like this. So, there will be fish on the bottom and then plants on the top. And then the domes that cover the hydro farm will look something like this. So the Mars clay will cover more the bottom, and then the top will be open so that sunlight can get through. But sunlight won't be as effective as it is on Earth because Mars is a lot further away from the sun. So there will also have to be lights on the ceiling to reach the plants. The dome will be made of silicon aerogel, so some sunlight will be able to get in. But then another reason for having lights on the inside is because of Mars's dust storms that can span up to 3 days. For recreation, it'll mostly consist of indoor activities that people on Earth can do. And education will also be held inside the houses because it's a lot safer solution. The students won't have to go out and be at risk to all the different problems on the Mars surface. And it is also easier because we won't have to build as many structures, which will be a lot harder on Mars than it is on Earth. But other structures that do have to be built, such as police stations and hospitals, will look something like this. So it's kind of So its structure is pretty round because it has to handle the pressure differences between the interior and exterior. because flat walls and corners are weak points. And this model is also cheap to build, and it's closer to the ground, so that we can cover it in, so that it's easier to cover in Mars clay. Mars has lots of different resources, mostly mineral resources, such as iron, titanium, nickel, aluminum, sulfur, chlorine, and calcium. These minerals and other resources can be collected using rovers, extractors, and drones. Almost no humans will be collecting because it'll be very hard and dangerous to go out and try to mine or collect other resources. Iron, titanium, and aluminum will most likely be used for coding and building infrastructures. As in, aluminum will be a layer of most housing, and the iron and titanium will actually be used to build. Energy sources are pretty hard to find on Mars because you can't have wind energy because of its thin atmosphere, and thermal energy is also very hard because Mars's core is very cold. The two most realistic energy sources are sunlight and nuclear. The solar power isn't as good because Mars is a lot further away than Earth is relative to the sun, and it will also be blocked out by dust storms. Now, there are no easily ready radioactive materials on Mars, so they will have to be imported from Earth. So the main energy source will be from nuclear decay. Now, I think that most people would want to live on my colony because it's really safe. I think that safety is a really important factor because on a foreign planet with lots of problems and toxic environments, safety will always be at risk. But in my colony, there are a whole lot of different ways to protect yourself. And this is an overhead view of my colony. As you can see, over here are the living spaces. Over here is just kind of like the living room and like kitchen area. This is a garage. This would be the entrance area where you can connect the spacesuits. This is just a hallway. This is just for extra storage. And then, as I said earlier, this is the dome that includes the hydro farm.